Hi, and welcome back to my channel, Zillapolis. I don't usually say this in the beginning of my videos, but I felt for this one it makes more sense, just feels right this time. Because in today's video we are celebrating 1 year anniversary of my first ever video on YouTube, and we're talking about things that I learned in this 1 year. And yes, I did talk about some of these things kinda in my goals of 2025 video, which was posted maybe 1 or 2 videos ago, but I kind of feel like this deserves its own video and just to kind of talk about specific things about starting. And I kind of want to keep it generic, so it's about anything in life you start like that, like creative maybe, and just jumping into it and taking that leap, just following your inspiration. So it will be useful for both people who are considering starting YouTube channel or those who are not but just curious about what it's like, and those who want to start something completely different but maybe also creative or just somehow related. Honestly, I truly believe that there are two types of people in this world. You have people who are creative and who just have this kind of drive to do certain creative things. It can be dancing, it can be baking, or maybe making videos and journaling like I do. But the point is that they have this sort of need to express themselves in a certain way. And then you have people who don't, at least not in that specific way. For example, in my case, I do feel the need to do something creative when it comes to like journaling and crafting, but I don't necessarily want to make cakes or dance. Not nearly on the same level as I do journaling. But the point is that these people are always kind of drawn to it one way or another. If they don't touch it for years, even years later, they're still drawn to do it. And for different people, it's gonna be different things. Like I said, for some, it's gonna be maybe acting or maybe singing, but they just have this need to do it somehow. And it can change form over the years. Maybe you start liking just baking and you end up doing just maybe cake decorating in particular, or making cookies or something more specific and more niche to what you just in general like. You just kind of end up doing this thing one way or another. In my case, like I said, that's mostly journaling, bullet journaling, and just sort of crafty things on one side, and then on the other side I had this YouTube telling my experiences and just expressing myself in that sort of way. And maybe you know this, maybe you don't, but I used to have a blog before this, so like a similar thing what I'm doing here but in a written form with pictures. That worked okay more or less for the time of my life, but it just didn't feel quite right, which is why I then went to start making reels and TikToks and just short form content before actually realizing that this is what I actually want to do, and this now feels just right compared to the previous things that I did, which felt okay and they were fun and enjoyable. This just feels right on a different level. And I feel like for a lot of these people who are creatives and who are drawn to these things, eventually they also find this one thing that just feels right, at least for that moment, for them. So why did it take me so long to find that this is the right thing compared to blogging or short form content? And the answer is just I probably knew. Like I deep down I probably knew. It was just I was afraid. I had other excuses why I didn't want to start. It was not the right time. I did not have the right equipment. My living situation was not good enough. I did not have the space to film. So all of these things, it was just not the right time for me to start. And the point is, and why I'm making this video right now, is to tell you that you can have all these excuses. You can live with them for a while. And people do always say, just start. You will learn things along the way. And they are completely right. It's correct. That's the right approach to have. But I also understand that sometimes it truly is not the right time for various reasons. That sometimes you need time to focus on something else, or you just have certain things that would make it much more challenging. But you need to be prepared and ready and brave for when these things clear up, or just the time feels right, or you have some sort of inspiration, some sort of spark to say yes and to start doing the thing that you really want to do. So what did I learn in this 1 year on YouTube? And again, I want to keep this more like vague and more like applicable to many different things, not necessarily just YouTube, but I'm just gonna use things I learned here as an example. So first of all, it's about setting expectations. I think it's really hard in the beginning to set some sort of realistic expectation because you're starting a new thing that you have no idea about. And of course, you can read about it and hear about it from other people who are doing it, and they will tell you this and the other. But in the end, your journey is gonna be your journey, and it's really hard to set realistic expectations. So it's usually better to just set lower expectations, particularly for YouTube and stuff like that. It's growth, like how many subscribers and views are you gonna get, but also it could be for other things like how many videos you're gonna be able to film or how fast you're gonna be able to to edit them and film them and just the whole process. And again, if you're doing, for example, baking, it could be process of baking. Like, I'm not a baker, you can tell probably, but maybe it will be decorating different kinds of cakes or making certain decorations, I don't know. But the point is, you will probably not know how long it takes exactly or what's the best way, most efficient way to do it before you try it. And so it's hard to set certain expectations of how you're gonna grow and what it's gonna look like. So in order to not be discouraged about doing anything, basically, you not only need to set lower expectations, but you really need to come to it with passion. You really need to be passionate about it and just be inspired to do it, because otherwise you will probably give up or be discouraged sooner or later. I really learned it in this 1 year that when I am filming and editing a video that I really feel inspired to do, then the process is much easier, it's faster, I enjoy it more compared to filming and editing certain videos that I don't really feel it in my soul. Then it's much harder. And it's gonna be more or less similar to other creative things that you're doing. If you're dancing to a song that you don't really feel, it's not gonna be the same as something that really resonates with you. It's the same thing about anything creative, basically. A couple of days ago, I was thinking about some sort of milestones for myself, particularly for YouTube. When I was filming my goals video, and I mentioned that I wanted to reach like these milestones, being monetized, having 500,000 subscribers, 5,000 subscribers. And I was thinking to myself, okay, when this happens, what then? Like, what's the next goal? Is there an end to it? Will I try to grow forever? Or what's the end goal? And the thing is, there is really not an end goal. Basically, that's why the goal is to enjoy myself and to do what I feel right and to just follow my inspiration. And if one day I feel like this is not the thing I want to do anymore, maybe something else pops up and I want to do that instead, that is completely fine, as long as I am following this inspiration that I feel and this drive to do these things in some sort of way, some sort of form, then I'm completely fine with that. And also to improve myself, to improve what I'm doing, to polish my process, to make it better and better and better. The third thing is that you really need to be open to learning and improving. And this is pretty obvious when you think about it like that, but when you start doing things, it's gonna be the small things probably that make the most difference to you. So in my case, for filming videos, it was mostly changing the way I speak and the way I edit so that it's easier and more efficient. The process is more enjoyable and efficient, because in the beginning, the way I was talking was just normal or just more scripted, and that was actually harder and less enjoyable for me to edit. It was taking much longer than I expected, and the change is not that drastic maybe for you, but for me, I just know what I changed, and it was not super easy to change like immediately the next time I was filming. It was a gradual change. It was something that I kept improving over time to just again make my process easier. And it's gonna be the same for you for different things. If again you're making cakes, it's just gonna be the small things, like how you're approaching, which things you do first maybe and which second. Just the way you approach things is gonna change slightly. You need to be open to changing and learning how to do things more efficiently. And in the end, you're gonna find your process that feels good and efficient, and it's just gonna feel right. In my case, it was also the things I was using. So for example, editing software that I was using for editing my videos. At first I was using one software and then I had to change to another, and that was honestly not easy for me. I was dreading the change really much, but in the end you have to be open to these changes, because obviously the one thing is not working for one reason or another, and you just need to make the change to the better thing, and you need to be open to learning and to changing your ways, because in the end it's gonna be worth it. And you probably know it. It's just that you need this sort of encouragement to do it. Speaking of the things I used and equipment, I know for YouTube in particular, people tell you that you need this and that and the other, like all of these things. You need a camera and microphone and ring light and who knows what else. You don't. For starting, you definitely don't. And I'm a living proof of that. I can vouch that maybe you need a microphone. That really improves things. For me at least, I see a huge difference with that. But other things, I'm actually filming on my phone. Literally filming on the front camera of my phone. I don't have any ring lights. I don't have anything. I'm just using the sun plus like the lighting I have in my house. You literally don't need it to start. And of course, I'm not like super popular, like huge YouTuber. So maybe once you improve, you may need that. I cannot tell you now. But for starters, definitely you don't need, because the problems you will have in the beginning of your channel are not gonna matter much in the regards of equipment as much as your style or other skills that you have. And honestly, that kind of feels freeing in the beginning. If you're not super popular, super fast, you're gonna have time to really learn things. And I think that's much better than just, going super viral. And I don't want to tell you like exactly which microphones to get and stuff like that. Like you can do your own research. Probably it's gonna depend a lot on what kind of videos you're planning to make. So do your research and find what you want. But in the end, the point is that you don't really need too many things. I actually started without a mic as well, but it's one thing that I feel like made a huge difference, especially because of background noise. It's not even other things, like the background noise was the worst. But other than that, again, I feel like you just need to start with more or less what you have and invest in a little bit of equipment, and then just learn what you particularly need, what in your situation makes the more sense, and what will make your particular situation easier and more efficient and more enjoyable. And last but not least, probably even the most important things, you have to leave perfection behind. There is no space for perfection ever in life, really, but particularly in things that are creative and creative expressions, you really just cannot live with being perfectionist in any sort of way. And I know this is hard, it's hard for me as well. It's hard not to re-edit certain parts over and over again because they are just not good enough. But trust me, people are probably not gonna know this. Most people are not gonna know this, and you're gonna say, okay, but I know this. Great. You know what's the best part about you being the only one who notices? You're the problem, you're the solution. Basically, you have to convince yourself not to care. And this is not easy. I know I was the same. I am the same still for some things. I know it's not easy, but I'm telling you that this is your worst enemy and you basically need to leave it behind. And I actually think that doing creative things is a great way to kind of try to overcome the need for perfection, but for some people it just doesn't work. In the end, again, it's up to you, and you need to be the one who accepts yourself the way you are and the art that you make the way it is. Whether that is dancing, baking, painting, or making YouTube videos. I do want to also say that support from your friends and family does actually mean quite a lot, and thankfully I had a lot of that. A lot of my close friends watched every single video, commented on it, liked them, different things, different people. My husband even helped me edit some of the videos, and just moral support and encouragement really means a lot. So if you do have that, it's gonna be much easier for sure. And even if you don't, that should not discourage you. You know you can succeed. Again, I didn't want to make this video particular about things I specifically learned about YouTube in that sort of sense, like the most people do it. I wanted to make it more generic and more applicable to many other people and many other things you can do. So I hope you actually did enjoy it, because I was planning just to make a short video about it, just to kind of help you, push you in the right direction, to push you to say yes to things that you felt inspired to do and that you know you felt drawn to do. So if you needed a sign to start something, this is your sign. In the end, thank you very much for everybody who supported me so far and those who will support me in the future as well. I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and a comment to let me know, and subscribe if you want more videos like this in the future. I really hope to see you in my next video, and until then, bye bye!